Dawn, are
Hi.
you with me? Hi. I'm sorry, I'm running behind. I apologize.
Oh,
Are
no,
you
you're
ready?
okay. I'm just happy
Are
to
you
meet
ready?
you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here with you too. You do have, okay. So let me tell you, you know what I do, but let me tell you how I do it real quick. We have our full time. Um, I just started zoning out for 2 seconds before I got into your session. And let me tell you, I was very hyper beforehand. And apparently when I got in here, my energy matched yours, which is great. That means we're on the same level.
Good.
But the other thing is interesting is that this, let me make sure this is recording. I had an issue yesterday with like one of my sessions not recording. Okay, it is good. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And this person, they're funny with you. They're funny. Like it's almost like they're bugging you in a good way. Like this is what he's saying. I'm sorry, I was telling you, this is not normal. All I hear is somebody going, Dawn, 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 do you hear me? Do you hear? I'm right here. Like they're bugging you in a funny, and I can hear the meh, like kind of like a kind of voice. So he's like, she needs to know that I love her. I don't really get this shit. He's telling me that. Like he doesn't understand this. And this is so funny. I don't
He's
he's talking about, I don't know what got her into this. He's like, I'm really happy that she's here talking to me. He's like, but all of this really for me? Like he's just joking about how great this is. He's talking about like getting, it's interesting. I get signs and symbols, I get feelings and emotions. They put me in different situations. I have to tell you this and how they talk. And the last one is I get words and phrases. He's coming up next to you. He's like on his hands, his knees. He says that's hard because his knees probably hurt a whole lot because he keeps talking about how difficult that is for him to do that. So like, wow, be appreciative of that. That's with that sarcasm. That's what he's saying to you. He's like, and he's coming up and he's calling himself your Prince Charming, or he's trying to be. But why? I don't think that this guy had a chance to say goodbye. I don't think he had, yeah, he goes like this. He's just talking. I'm listening to him talk and I'm trying to decode it. And I said, why are you here? Why are you crawling up to her? What's going on? And he says, Amy, like all of a sudden I just realized I was dead. Like, how did I get, what was going on here? You know? And I go, okay, why though? He says a little bit more traumatic than that, but do we have to get into that? And I'm like, yes, we do. You're going to see me go back and forth in my head.
right.
Hold on. He's talking to himself in third person. He gets very frustrated very easily. He has almost like a childlike sense of like anger sometimes, like getting frustrated like a little kid. And he's like, oh, geez, God, like she was married to that. And I'm like, but you are Prince, remember that? And what? He has to be here with you to take care of you. He has to be here with you. I wonder if he did something wrong to you and he's having to stay here and be, let me just get into this. I don't know if this is where I'm at because I don't know what happened to him yet. He's here so much. It's either because he loves you unconditionally, which he does, and you are his everything, but also sometimes they sit with you because they have to too. Like they owe it to you. He says, I don't owe her anything. He's like, I'm here because I want to be. So now he's confirming that he doesn't. So what happened? What? He says you're an animal person, you're a pet person. So you're an animal person. Okay. He goes like, I said, what are you doing? I'm kind of letting him take the conversation. He goes, oh God, you know why you can pet dogs? You know, you can pet animals in here. He's like, oh my God, you should see. Yeah, we're pet people. We have, those are like, that's everything. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And he says, what? Weird. Did you ever have like a larger dog, almost like a lab or like a golden retriever type of size?
We have a lab right now.
Shut up, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just turned 9. That was his baby.
Yes. You know, oh, how cool. He's talking about coming up. He just showed me a gold dog. He showed me that head, right? That they have, both of them are these big honking heads. And he
Yeah.
shows me the black, and he says he's rubbing this dog, and I can feel. And he was like, oh my God, I miss him. Talk about getting him up on the couch. He's like, this is my everything. If this is too much, please just let me know.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard. He's been waiting. What? He wishes he could come back and move. He keeps making me feel oxygen in his nose over and over again. And I don't know if he was like dealing with a lot of breathing issues. I know he's not in the hospital with oxygen. I don't know if he was just having a lot of breathing or like cardiac or like bad issues happening or something. What? But it's so fast. It's so quick. Hang on. Tell me, can you walk me back through? What happened to you? Where were you at? Like, it's so quick, it's almost like he just went out. He's just giving me that feeling of from here to there, here to there, here to there. Hold on. What do you mean? Tell me about her. Where were you at? Where was she at? Can you walk? You're very good at talking, but can you walk me through a past memory? Hang on. Keeps talking about you crying. You, like he's with you when all this is happening, at like in between that area. I don't think y'all were together when he crossed over. I don't think y'all were together for some reason. I don't know why, or maybe his like body, his soul had already left at that point and you're around his body, because he's talking about his soul is watching you cry with him. So for me, that means my soul has left out of my body already. And he keeps coming up to you and like seeing this visual, like, oh my God, don't, oh my God, don't, oh my God, don't. He, what? Through thick and thin. What? What was it? I'm giving him all these symbols and I'm telling him to pick from one, but he's talking more about the emotions behind it than the actual action. And that's when I'm bringing him back and trying to get him to, he's showing me images, but I need more. Hold on. Tell me, bud. I don't know. I think I'm going to be incredibly wrong on this one. I think I'm going to be incredibly wrong on this one. But the way he makes me feel, it's like, did he end up like, he's making me feel like I got hit. He didn't get hit by a car though. He's talking about people showing up. Hold on. There's no car. I don't feel that. He's talking about how fast it is. Tell me. I don't think he has cancer. I don't think anything like that. I think this is like, he's happy. He's living his good life. He's great. Like he's fine. He's a little bit sarcastic. Weird. And there's something about like medical involved, or maybe he's just embarrassed by it. Hang on, tell me, bud. Weird. It just, I don't know. I don't know. Tell me one more time. Let's see if we can do this one more time together. Go back, go back, go back. Go back. Weird. Did he end up like having like cardiac arrest, like in a car or something? And then we like took him to a hospital and we couldn't do anything about it. And you're there and you're like crying about it, but he's already gone and he's totally freaking over it. He's so like, what the hell, Amy? There's something involving with that. What is that?
What happened? He died of an asthma attack. And
The breathing.
the breathing, yes.
Sorry, keep going.
Yes. And we were, that day was beautiful day. We were having a great day. We went to
Yes.
bed. He got up and he comes in, he fell asleep on the chair. He came into the room and he pounded on the wall. He's like, I can't breathe. I need my machine. So I came out here.
Oh,
I put the medicine in his machine. He walks out. He's called 911. So I called 911. And the last thing he said to me was, I'm not going to make it. And they did CPR on him for a long time, right behind where I'm sitting now. And then they took him by ambulance. They got him back. Took him by ambulance, and I think he passed in the ambulance on the because I wasn't with him.
yeah. Yes. Okay. And so then you saw his body afterwards. Like it's a whole
Yes.
thing. That's where you're. Oh, how weird. Oh, how I've never had anybody die of an asthma attack. So he brings up, he goes like this. He's talking about in the beginning, he goes like this. And he's saying, I fucking hate this machine.
Yeah.
That's what he kept talking about. But I'm
Mm.
like, I don't think he's in the hospital having this because I don't have that. But he keeps making me, oh, how interesting. So the attack came on just like that. He's talking about how he dies in a car in the ambulance on the way over there, but it's not an accident. And he's talking about being with you when you see him afterwards and you're just beside yourself. And he hates that for you. No wonder remember earlier he was talking about on the couch with the dog. So he's still in your home with you. Oh, your session's wild. Thank you for letting me take that time and try to get him to explain. That's difficult.
You were right there. You were right there.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love you. I know you're like up there. I'm like, hold on, don't say anything. I want to get it. I want to see how far I can work him.
Yes.
He what? Oh, it's so hard for him to go back.
Yeah. He suffered with asthma his whole life. So, but like when you said he was embarrassed by it because he would always hide to use his inhaler because he didn't want anybody to.
No, because he's a tough guy. He's a good guy.
Good guy.
He is a tough guy. He's like, I don't need anybody. He's so funny. I don't think he ever did this, but he's talking about opening a beer and drinking it and pounding on his forehead. So he's like having this funny thing about how manly I am, right? And what?
Mm-hmm.
He says he's here. He's here all the time. He's walking back and forth, and that's the kitchen back over there to the right.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, he's behind you. And he's walking behind you in my head. I see him though. And he's like, I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm here all the time. I go, where are you going? He says, I'm going to go to the kitchen. I go, where? And he's like, over there. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he says, when does it end? When does it end? One. He says, what? I said, why did you leave her? What was up with that? He's like, because I do everything for her. I was like, no, you don't. Shut up. He was like, no, we're really like close. And he goes, he's talking about pampering you like a princess. He says, because she has to learn how to do stuff on her own. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's talking about leaning back and getting a manicure and a pedicure. And I'm like, you never did that. And he's like, but so I can do that now. So like your husband is what? Interesting. Did he end up like doing construction? What did he do for his job? Really?
Yes. He
goes like this. Shush. Really?
Because I was going to say too, when you were talking about being on his knees earlier, he laid carpet and flooring and stuff like that. So his knees always bothered him.
Hurt. Yes, because this is what he did. He went like this up to you. He goes, oh my God. He goes, look, my darling, my sweet. Oh my God, at least I can do this now. My knees don't hurt. He was like, this is a real treat for her if I was in life. Like, that's what he says. And I asked him, I go, so what did you do in life? What was going on? He says, how do you think I afford this wonderful place? And I go, what? And he says, I did what your husband did. And my husband did construction. And I was like, oh, interesting. He was like, yeah, it was a shit show, but it paid the bills. He likes being really creative. What? No, you didn't. And it was interesting. He called himself like a blue collared worker earlier, and he kept mentioning that like he'd be a quote unquote roughneck, but he's not. He's so nice. I just want to sit down and have like a hamburger with him and just have a good conversation. That's it. He keeps talking about he doesn't like fish.
Oh, he likes fish.
Does he? Okay. He says like this. He says something fish so much, or he's talking about fish fry, which is weird. I have no, I mean, it's not weird, but he kept talking about fried fish. I have no idea why. So I'm like, maybe he doesn't like it. Maybe it's a thing. He's a lake person. What? He's talking about anniversary. He's bringing up so much stuff. Hold on, but when? So your anniversary already passed?
Yeah, our anniversary is in August. It was our 20th. It would have been 20th last August. So
Last August.
yeah.
Oh, he goes like this. Oh, because he comes up and he says, I said, what do you want to talk about? And he's flipping all these things in my head. And I go, what? And he goes, red roses. And he says, I feel bad. That for me means like talk about a milestone anniversary. And I said, well, when is it? Is it like this week, next month? He goes, no. It already passed. I missed it. So he's like re-preparing you for it. He just did like this to himself. He's like talking about, he said he's the big guy. He says that he's talking about, he's in my body. Okay. So he's like making a comment on how his boobs are bigger than mine. Like there's just like a funny joke going on because he's using my body and he really likes yours. And I'm just going to let you know that right now. That's, and I quote.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. And this is, he's so funny. He's in what we like to call the light. He's in a good place, but he still acts like he has a body because he died so suddenly. He's not stuck. He just chooses to be here because y'all are the people that he loves and y'all are the animals. And so whenever, what? What about it? He is just boasting on how you are his forever and how there's nobody else. Were you in like a hardcore serious relationship before you met him?
No, we met.
Interesting. When you were little, right? Yeah, when you're young. This is all he says. He says like,
I was 23 when we met. And
yeah, okay. Yeah. This is all he says. He says like nobody else could top me. He was like, not even blah blah blah. If she would have had this hardcore serious relationship, she would have left them for me. It's all of them. I'm like, were you? What? He keeps picking up his shirts over and over and over again. So you haven't like let all those go? You still have them all?
What was his shirts?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, I have everything.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. He's just talking about he gets his shirts and he flaps it out and he says, you know what? I go, what? He says, she hasn't got rid of it. None of it. And I was like, okay, so shirts. And he's talking about how he says, honestly, in a funny way, like make a blanket out of it. And I'm like, okay, I don't think we have that time to do that. He says that, what? This is going to be really morbid, but I just have to tell you this. So he says that whenever his dog passes away, that it's not now or in a while, it's in a while, but he says you should like stuff it and keep him in your house. Like that's so odd. But he's talking about how it's this memory to keep him alive because that's part of him. He one. Interesting. Is your buddy already getting like little cataracts on his eyes?
He may be.
Okay. He's just talking about him. I go, he's 9. I don't think that's a thing, but he's talking about him maybe like having like wavy eyes. So tell me about him. Tell me about your life. Tell me about her. What? Y'all are so jokey with each other. So funny. Would you eat at the couch?
No, we didn't eat it.
No.
Living room is like right there. So our TV is right behind.
That's why. Okay.
So
this is a dining room. Okay, yeah, he's talking about sitting and eating and watching TV at the same time. And he's talking about y'all, if you needed something, let's say if somebody needed mustard or ketchup, you say, you know, will you go get it for me? And like y'all have this jokey banter back and forth, right? And he's like, oh, you want me to? Oh, that like y'all are so funny together. What? He goes to bed with you every night. But you also tell him good night. You also talk to him all the time. Like, he's trying to keep with the routine for you. He's trying to be a part of that. What? And you got him cremated?
Yeah,
You did? Oh,
he's on my fireplace. I kiss him every night.
oh, yes. This is what he says. He goes like this. I go, what about this? He's talking about going to bed at night again. And I go, well, what about this? He says, I follow her in. He says, we have a routine. And he says, hey, and I got a cool box. And I was like, what do you mean? And he says, I'm cremated. I'm in there. And I was like, really? You are? He's like, yeah. Who knew? And so he knows that he loves you. What? Do you like not wear your wedding ring? Are you going to weld them together?
Actually, I wear mine and his.
You have them together. You do. Oh, sorry. This is what she thank you. He goes like this. He says he gets one ring. He has it here. And then he gets another one and he puts it on top. And then he seals them. And I'm like, are we welding them together? That's because you wear them all the time.
Yes, since that day, I've always had it on.
He goes, and she never will take it off. That's what his conclusion is. What? Tell me about her. Mm-hmm. He says you look good. He is. He's so funny. Tell me about you. So what? Who's that? There's members of his family that are always trying to bring him home, and he won't leave you. He says, like, I owe it to you that much. What? Paycheck to paycheck. Are you not working right now?
I actually am working now. I didn't work for like 19
Ever?
Yeah, for like
Holy crap.
since we had my son.
Yes.
I stayed home and be a
great mommy. Yeah. Okay. That's super important. This is all he says. He talks about how he brings up money, and I'm like, I think she's doing okay. Y'all kept the same house. And then he's talking about he says paycheck to paycheck. And I go, so is she living that or what? And then he talks about how, like, you didn't have this job. I'm like, are you not working anymore? Like, how does that? So he's just trying to talk about that. He says that, but everything is good. Everything is fine. What? Is he really? No, he's not. Oh, he's going to be wrong on this. No. He says your kid is like 14, which I don't think you have a 14-year-old. I think, how old is he?
19.
He's what?
He's 19.
He's 19.
Mhm.
Really? He is older like that. This is what he says. He goes, I said, so how old is your baby? How old is your son? He's like, oh, he's not a baby anymore. He can choose and like do his own thing. And I go, okay, what? He says, but he's still a teenager. And I was like, I would have to say maybe max 12. And he's talking about raising up. Yeah, he's 19. Okay. Because he keeps talking about how much he misses his dad, how much he misses his daddy, how much that he doesn't want him to be in a dark place. Need to support your mom. Love her. What?
He does.
I know he does. He's just telling him over and over again. What? Do you want?
My son is actually here too, if you want to see him.
Come here, son. Come here. Oh, oh, look at you. Oh my God. You are a little version of him. Oh, look at you. Stop. Oh,
He's actually, it's his first day home from college. He got home last night.
oh my God, look, so no wonder it was destined to be here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how are you doing? How is college? Do you like it? He says it's great. And he keeps talking about like you not getting into trouble, which is funny. And do you see? What? He's what? He says, like, don't go into marketing business. Are you doing engineering? Can you go into that? What are you doing?
I'm actually going into computer science.
It was computer engineering.
Yeah,
That's
once
probably
upon a
Yeah,
time.
because they went to the
really?
engineering department together.
Oh, how nifty. This is what he said. He says he's not gonna be like a fuck up like me. And I said, you're not a fuck up. He said, he goes, he's not gonna be a schmuck. I said, what's he gonna do? He goes, he's gonna go and do something big, do something fancy. I said, what? He said, no, like an engineer, you know, and he's like pulling this out of my head. And so he's very happy about that. He says, ha ha ha. He doesn't want you to mess up that opportunity for you. He doesn't want you to what? Interesting. Never get a motorcycle. Do you hear me? Don't. Got it? I'm just gonna let you know from this side. I mean, just for me personally too, but he's talking about it. Just never do. I don't think you're a person that rides a crotch rocket or anything like that, but I just want to let you know moving forward. What? Yeah. What? Where is his van? Did he have a van? Where's his big ugly van?
You love that van. It's still in the driveway.
Oh, do you have the big ugly
Yeah,
van?
we actually just started it up. So we were just
Really?
up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. He says, I said, I go, so what is this? Why are you talking about a motorcycles? What's going on with that? He says, tell him he can take the big ugly van. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he's talking about you literally, he's talking about how like kids these days, they want to clean out vans and then make it into like their living space. And so he's like joking about how you should do that with this one. I think he's being very sarcastic with you, but that's also how your dad is.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So use this as your interpreter. Okay. What? He's saying he's messing with you. He loves you. What? Interesting. Did you end up going to see your dad after he passed as well? He was
I never had
no.
to-
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
This is what all he says. He says, mom. So he's talking to wife. And he says, don't let him see like my ugly face after I pass. Like he doesn't want people to see him like that. So I was like, did you see it? Because if so, you know, but that's why you're the only one crying. What? I think your dad would try to communicate with you through music and stuff like that. And he's talking about how you just wave it away.
He's had that happen several times on his phone where out of the blue, just a song will come on that they would always listen to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's your dad. That's your dad. He goes like this. He says, I said, so what do you do? He's like, and tell him. And he makes me hear music. And I go, what? He says, but he's like, ah. And he's like he has that vibe. I'm like, okay, I'll tell him. What? What? Oh, he loves you. So what? Ha 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 ha. He's going to the bathroom. Why? He says, and there's like a hallway bathroom right down over here or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. He's in your house. He just said, where are you going? And he makes me hear the toilet flush. And he says, I'm down the hall. And I go, okay. So he's like, here. Your father is in your home. Your husband is in your house. He hasn't left you yet. I don't want you to think it's scary at all. He just loves you. He's going to be a part of your life. What? Hold on. He's talking about like we don't have time to fix anything up in the backyard. We don't have your father says he has so many chores he has to do right now and he doesn't know how to do it because he doesn't have hands. It's the whole thing. So it's very interesting. Were y'all going to landscape the backyard? Was that going to be a thing or something? And like we never got to it?
We have a in-ground pool in the backyard that he was in the middle of redoing when, yeah, and then we were also going to put in a pond.
Shut up. Really?
Honest to God.
Okay, I've never gotten that before in my life. He just made me feel dirt and earth, and he made me see like white stone, and I'm like, oh, and he's talking about my house and how I just am like potting plants out front. He's talking about supposed to be doing that too, but I don't have any hands to do it with. And I'm like, oh my God, I get it.
He would do
Same.
all of our weeding, and I mean, hands and
All
knees
of it.
day long until every weed. He would
Yeah.
move every rock and pull every weed, and yeah, he was
Mm-hmm.
totally about landscaping in the yard. And well, I was
Yeah.
just talking to him
What? Tell me.
last year. We didn't really do anything, and I told him I just bought a new sprayer and weed killer to do the weeds in the driveway.
Yeah.
I was just telling him that I'm gonna try to do better this year.
He wants you to. He wants you. Oh, how funny. How funny. He adores you. He loves you. He says, look at her, she's gonna be out there crying with the weed and feed. And I was like, it's okay. And he's talking about walking you through emotional, and all like the neighbors are gonna be like, what's up with that? It's a whole thing. So y'all just, your husband hasn't left you. He loves you. Your dad hasn't either. So what? One more thing. Yeah, this is what he does. He goes, and one more thing, and one more thing, one more
Yes.
thing. If tell me, come here. Interesting. Happy birthday to that bastard. What? Son, when is your birthday?
May 12th.
So yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. This is that he says, I don't know if you heard me under my breath. He goes up and he says, you can listen to the recording. I go, and what is this one thing? He says, like, happy birthday to that. It's the word, he says bastard, but I don't think by that. I think it's because you don't have, a dad living anymore. So there's like a joke that goes along with it. And I'm just not catching that.
Yeah.
And I go, well, when is that for him? He says, it's coming up. And he says, I'll be there for that. Okay. So your dad references, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, he's good. My God, I have to go to my next session. They're gonna be pissed because I'm late, but I want you to take your moment. I can't even think. He's still talking in my head. Tell him, tell him you love him. Tell him you miss him. If y'all need me again, feel free to email me. We'll figure something out. I love your dad. And your husband. He's so great. He's so funny. He's not leaving you. And my gosh, if y'all, like I said, if you have any questions, just email me. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I need y'all to walk around tonight and tell him you love him. And tell him thank you for coming through. Got it? Okay.
100%.
All right. I love y'all.
Love you
He's
too.
talking
Thank
to you too. Love y'all.